Welcome back, students. We are halfway in our course and we are about taking a deeper look at the marketing mix. So this unit is really about the first of the marketing mix components, the P for product. And I want to spend just a second reviewing the marketing framework. And if you recall, we did talk about customers and two major segment of customers, the consumer and the business to business segment. And we have units on market research, consumer behavior, and the last one on segmented targeting and positioning. We also had a unit on marketing strategies, and finally, we are entering into the marketing mix. And the following 4 units will be really about each of those components. Today we'll be creating offering, and we will cover in promotion, distribution, and price in the following units. And as I always say, remember that all the marketing activities take place without an environment that we need to also be very familiar with. So we always have to analyze the political, the economical, the cultural components, and the technology factors that are affecting our marketing decisions. So let's just review quick. What is an offering? Remember, the word offering comes from the AMA definition, and it really set the tone for how we approach the offering concept. We talking in the first units that a tangible product can be marketed, a service that is by definition obviously intangible, ideas, places, and even people. So in this context, I want you to start thinking about those products. And when I use the word product, I refer to the broad sense of offerings. Start thinking what is really in a product, even if it's a tangible product like the tomato can I just show you. We talk about the 3-layer concept, and this implies that the product need to be seen as an addition of different products. So let me tell you, first we always think about the core product. What is the benefit that that offering is bringing? Let's say, for instance, I'm thinking of a car. The core benefit of a car is primary transportation. But then we have this second layer, it's what we call the actual product, and that goes and encompass the attributes, right? The packaging, the labeling, sorry, the brand name, and of course the style and design. So when I'm thinking of a car, if it's a BMW car, I will be describing the model, the engine, the wheels, the doors, the sound system, and all the different components of the actual product. But there is this third layer, and not all products obviously have that such a big third layer, but that's all the services that can be provided close to that product that are not necessarily part of that product per se, but it has an important impact in the consumer definition. Okay, if you think of the same example, the car, when you go and buy the car, you're going to consider other things that are not necessarily part of the actual product. I'm thinking of financial services. Are they giving me a good lease or a good loan? After sales service, the warranty. Am I going to be part of a membership or a club by buying this car? So what we are seeing is that more and more the consumer are giving importance and taking this component, this augmented product, in their final consideration. That's what we talk about, this service dominant approach to marketing. It is about the actual tangible product, but there are a lot of ingredients that are going to impact the vision of the consumer that are not necessarily the actual product. So if we move from this idea within the actual product into the service, what we call the service package, how this concept apply to a service experience. And I give you the example of a restaurant. In a restaurant, as a good example of a service offering, we're going to be checking in the supporting facilities, the physical space, and I hope you're connecting this with the atmospherics and the work of Paco Underhill in retail stores. We actually going to also think about the actual food, right? And then two kind of services, the explicit service, who is serving me, and then the friendliness and how responsive is the people that are attending, my table. So these are all four important components you have to consider when you compare, for instance, a burger from McDonald's and a burger from a fancy place such as Mastro. Why we're getting the same tangible product, but we're willing to pay a difference of, literally hundreds of dollars between a McDonald's burger and a Mastro burger. So review these four components to understand that difference. The first thing we're going to briefly discuss is the packaging when it comes to the product components. And we hardly pay any attention to packaging, but the more you get into it, the more you discover that it's a whole field in marketing. So marketers realize that for some product, remember our high involvement, low involvement conversation, the packaging is really important because a part of the obvious role and functions of packaging, containment, protection, safety, it helps with transportation, it helps the display, it gives us a lot of information about the product. But look at this, it's also a persuasive tool. And many marketers like to say that packaging is the last opportunity for them to influence your decision, right, at the point of sale. And again, this ties with the discussion we have about why cereal boxes have this amazing packaging and why barbecues, we don't even know if there is a box when they sit on the warehouse, because we don't see that packaging, and that packaging does not influence our decision at the point of sale. So again, that's a key sentence. Packaging might be the seller's last and best chance to influence buyers. So treat it as a key marketing tool. Again, packaging, I'm quick, but you have the levers of packaging. The primary level is the one that actually touch the product, and that's easy to understand. You think about pills, like you have a blister that is the container of those pills that goes into a box that becomes a secondary packaging. But then we have those boxes that include X number of these secondary boxes, and that's how it gets stored in the warehouse. I'm just going to link this fascinating website about packaging in your Blackboard, and hopefully you spend some time there. And I want to just emphasize the decision for making a package and the process that designers go through is very similar to the one of the actual product. So don't underestimate what goes into a package. And I just love this example, and to kind of convince you that packaging can work. This company basically had a number of successful products, and this was the original look and feel of the packaging, but they realized that the sales were getting a little bit slow, they were flattening. So they hired packaging designer company and they revamp the packaging. So listen to this, nothing inside the product, the actual product that I was talking before, right, what goes into these containers chain. The only thing the packagers, designers did was to work on the outside, and this is what they came. So I just want you to experience and then spend a second thinking, well, is this an improvement? Is the product now potentially being positioning differently in the mind of the consumer? So we went to this approach to the design of the package to this one. And I'm happy to report that the sales really, went high after this effort. Is packaging always good? I want to share with you this trend about sustainable packaging. There is, strong push for more sustainable options. And of course, there is a lot of talking about packaging that become very painful for the consumer, to the point that our friends, the Consumers Report, publish these Oysters Awards to the worst packaging solutions of the year. So very, very interesting industry. Let's move to another key component on your product, something you will have to think about it when you are working on your own offering, which is the brand. And what is a brand, right? And I have that quick definitions: the name, the term, the symbol, or any other unique that allow you to identify the offering of a company, and hopefully create this positioning that set you apart from the competition. So brand per se can be just the logo, a trade character, and I'm sure you can think of many examples, brand mark, and even an audio trademark. Okay, and I'm going to again also share with you this link of a fantastic and fun test where you're going to actually check your IQ brand. Okay, so stay tuned and check Blackboard for it. Why is branding so important? Why are we spending this time talking about branding? Is because if you go back to the consumer behavior process, how do we take decisions as consumers? We like to think that we're very rational consumers and we take our decisions based on product attributes. But the truth is that there is this black box. Remember that emotional bond that is so hard to explain, why companies are able to build that emotional bonds, right, with the consumer. But that's part of how you create your brand. And it's a great example, Ben and Jerry's. We know the story and how they basically, without having any knowledge about ice cream, right, they decided to buy a $5 buy mail course and really start from zero, and with very humble roots they became activists and advocates. So there is this brand that is selling you ice cream, but it's also selling you also that emotional connection, with higher values. So at the end of the day, big companies, small companies, they all try to build this brand equity, right, which is basically the value that the brand is bringing to that business. I'm going to another link for our CI Learn is share with you the ranking that Interbrand, this is a great branding company, share. Basically, they calculate every year the value of the brands for different publicly traded companies, and they share, their results. So I just want to before you actually check, I want you to just write in a piece of paper which one you think are going to be the top 3 worldwide brands. What brands are the most valuable? Okay, and then go to Blackboard and check what the Interbrand ranking says. This is a lot of common sense, but as you engage in the definition of your brand, maybe in your project, or maybe trying to help a business that is that it has to be easy. And when we say easy, we refer easy to say, easy to spell, easy to read, and easy to remember. And it has to obviously fit with your target market. It has to make sense to the people you are trying to appeal. It has to hopefully also fit with the product benefit, the customer culture, and obviously legal requirement. There is an ongoing debate, and scholars don't have an answer. Is it better to use a descriptive word for your brand, or a unique coin word such as Yahoo, right? Is Yahoo a better brand that, let's say, Do It Center or Home Depot, right? Which is a more descriptive word. There is no an answer, and it all depends. These are just some fun examples of brands that didn't work. So you want to read them in detail, stop the video here. I'm going to start with the product life cycle before I wrap up this session, and I want be aware that products go through these four phases: introductory stage, growth stage, maturity stage, and decline stage. And as probably you anticipate, each of these phases, intro, growth, maturity, and decline, have an impact in each of the four pieces. Right now we're talking about products, right? So in your introduction, you probably have just one version. And as you grow, you extend versions till you get into full product light, and hopefully in the decline, and you might have bestsellers, but it might be time to harvest. Stay tuned for second part of this